Hey folks, welcome back to another broadcast here on West Virginia Sports Network, wvsportsnet.com. I'm Tony Lane. This handsome man here to my left is John Foster, the other dynamic duo here to West Virginia Sports Network. Well, John, man, we got this is the one that we circled at the beginning of the year saying this is the game we must cover.
That's right. Yeah, we circled it on our calendar, didn't we? We was real excited about it.
Oh, yeah, I was like, man, got to get off work for this day. Got to make sure. I mean, this is a priority. One, it's my good old home state of Ohio,
right.
And I'd like to see him get beat down in the state of West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, I've adapted to the 304 lifestyle.
That's tough. I like that.
It doesn't happen overnight. It took some persistency from good friends like yourself.
I'm glad I'm rubbing off on you.
I don't know. My parents probably wouldn't say in a good way, but I'm supposed to be scarlet and gray, man. But tonight, the Northland, Ohio coming out of Columbus. If you guys are wondering, like, boy, that sounds familiar. It's probably because he saw him on ESPN last year. Their dad's coach is Coach Sellinger, and they're like, boy, that sounds like a familiar last name. Yeah. Well, that is because his son is none other than Jared Sellinger, the freshman standout, probably going to be an All-American, top 5 draft pick in the NBA lottery. And here we got this team that was top 10 in the nation last year coming down to Logan Island. What a non-conference matchup and a test for the Logan Wildcats.
Well, you say test, you say it perfect right there. I mean, you look at this Logan schedule, and it's loaded with out-of-state teams and, tournaments and an atmosphere that surrounds the Charleston Civic Center in March, Tony. So what Hatcher's done, I mean, he gets these big teams, and everybody says, well, why does he play them? I mean, he's getting his team ready for March. The talent that we saw in the past 2 to 3 games. If we take Willing Park, Princeton Day Academy, and now we're going to add Northland to it. Listen, there's not athletes like that in every school in West Virginia. I don't mean in AAA or not. I love Martinsburg, GW, South Charleston, all them state schools. I'll support them, but they don't have athletes like this, Tony. And so he's getting his team ready, and I really like what he's doing.
And what do we mean by athletes? Well, they got 2 players right now. One already committed verbally to Michigan, a 3 out of 5-star prospect on Preps.com. So Rivals.com, excuse me. So a very prestigious player there. They had one player that was at one point committed to West Virginia University. He's only a sophomore. So not only a team like last year that were top 10 in the nation. Yeah. They don't rebuild. They reload every year with a coach like Coach Sellinger. I think Coach Hatcher called him the real-life Coach Carter because his son, as a sophomore, they were undefeated going to the state championship game at Ohio in the Division I level. Right. And it is story time. Yeah. But
now D1 is the highest level of basketball that can be played in Ohio,
in West Virginia, it's AAA is the highest. In Ohio, Division I's the highest. Same as in your college divisions and everything like that. But Jared Sellinger got a D on a test before the state championship. Not an F, a D. And guess where that young man was sitting on that state championship? At the end of the bench, cheering on his teammates. Yep. Not even in uniform, in street clothes.
Yep. That speaks a lot for the character that Mr. Sellinger has. I think his first name is Satch.
Satch?
Yeah, so what he brings to the table, not only good teams, but he's molding these young men into just exactly that, men. And a lot of coaches have trouble with that line, Tony. Am I a coach or am I a friend? Really, you need to be a coach, friend, and mentor when you're dealing with kids.
Friend last. That's the last priority.
Exactly. And any good coach will tell you, he don't want his players to like him. He wants them to love him. And what that means is when he's yelling at them, don't take it personal. I'm just trying to make you better.
Yeah. It's when I'm stopped yelling at you is when you should get concerned because that means I've given all hope up on you.
Right.
They're not even worth my time to correct anymore.
Yeah.
That's how I always looked at it. That's how I was always taught. And that's another thing. Northland's from Columbus. It's not a rural farm town, farm area or, coal mining area like we're used to down here. I mean, these kids, some of them probably saw some crazy stuff growing up, and it is not easy as a coach at a level like that. I mean, you saw movies such as Coach Carter based on true stories. Sometimes it's really, really hard to get these urban kids to respond at a man level. Exactly. To not act like 15, 16-year-olds. I know that's all they're going to be. But when you're put on the pedestal such as Northland, Ohio has been on ESPN, you're expected to be looked at a little higher than a 15, 16-year-old. And as we're here watching them shoot out, these don't look like no 15, 16-year-olds.
No, you said it, best. They're like AT&T. They're wanting to raise the bar. Not just be an athlete, be a student athlete, and serve the community well. Like you said, some of these kids see stuff, Tony, that me and you may never see in our lifetime. Inner city is just that. It's inner city. And we watch movies on it all the time, and we go, oh, man, I bet that don't really happen. You know as well as I do.
Right.
That's true life. And, I'm just really glad all these kids, they're stuck with it. Here we are, end of January. His team, his roster's full, so I don't think he's really lost anybody. I look for a good game. You can't imagine Jared Sullinger's dad, I mean, he is a man amongst boys in the Big Ten. Now, listen, that takes a lot out of me, Tony, to talk about your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Come on.
But
I'll breathe it in, I'll bask it in, and I won't live on it. How about that?
But that kid, he is a man-child. And not only what impressed me is his physical stature, but his mental awareness, his toughness, and, that's how smart he is about the game of basketball. And I can't imagine his dad not passing that on to these younger kids. And for generations, he's probably done that. So it's going to be a test tonight on the island for the Logan Wildcats. Win or lose, I really think that it'll make them a better team. But, you really hope these type of games put your program on the map, Tony, if you can win it.
And another thing, I hate to keep going back to Sellinger because you're like, oh, he's done, he's moved with, he's gone. Half these boys practiced with him all year last year. That is a big body beating you up in practice.
Absolutely.
And I'm guaranteeing you, Sellinger ain't going to look nothing like these Logan Wildcats are over here. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, did you make a bold prediction there before the game?
Yeah, I did. We talked about it, Tony. And
I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm going to give you a chance to opt out of this right now.
No, I'm gonna go with it. I felt like on the way over. We've watched Paul Williamson. This is his house. This is the house.
Unbelievable what that kid can do in the island.
The records are behind him. All the media attention is behind him. I mean, it's always going to be on him. It's going to be on him the rest of the year until he makes his college decision. I really think a big game out of him tonight, Tony. I'm gonna say 35 or more points. I'm gonna take a victory of the Logan Wildcats by 4.
By 4?
Yeah, they're going to have trouble on the perimeter. Northland Vikings long, tall. Going to be tough to get in the passing lanes. Listen, when Deontay, Paul, and Trevor start hitting on all cylinders, it's going to be tough, Northland or not. I'm taking Logan by 4.
Okay, you heard it from the man, John Foster over here. The one in the yellow shirt here. He's the one that put the Logan Wildcats predicted here by 4. John, man, I hope you're right, and I guarantee you all the 2,000 to 3,000 fans that are packed in here, they're going to be hoping for the same thing, and probably most of them, if they're true fans, are thinking the same thing. But, they got a home court advantage is going to be a big thing tonight, and these crowd has to bring it. Against Wheeling Park, this place was literally mute from all the noise. It was so loud that you couldn't hear anything.
Absolutely.
And that's what needs to be like here all night tonight. Let the Northland Vikings know this is the island, this is the Wildcats, this is our house. If you want to come in here, you're going to have to outperform us and overcome our sixth man up in the bleachers.
That's exactly. And, they got to play their game, Tony. We saw them against Princeton Day, get in a running game. Listen, that's not your game, Logan. You're not as athletic as this Northland team. I love you, and I love Mark Hatcher and the city of Logan. But listen, there's not a kid on this roster. There's one that's under 6 foot tall. So you got to figure every one of them's wingspan. We talked about it last week, 6'3", 6'4". So, the wingspan's going to be the difference. Let's see what kind of defense they come out in. But I think a good early start for Logan is key tonight.
And I think it's going to have to be not only getting out to that strong start, but we've seen them lately, the second, third quarter disappear. Middle part of the game tonight, they got to be here. They got to be intense. They got to bring 110% effort. They got to run the floor, transition defense. And I'm sure Hatcher has been licking his chops on this one. We're going to take a break here on this action. Thank you for tuning in here to the pregame show on wvsportsnet.com. I'm Tony Lane. This man, John Foster, with the bold prediction here. We're going to see if it comes true here on the island. Northland Vikings, undefeated, 12-0, looking for their first loss of the season, and the Wildcats looking to give it to them. Here on wvsportsnet.com.
Your sports voice of the Valley.